I am replacing a lamp post that I had with the staked light changing LEDs with remotes. So originally these wires came in, there was two lamps, one here and then one on the other side of the yard. This is coming in. This lead right here is going to go out to the next post down the line. And I want to put a junction box here, but if you'll notice, if I try to do that, it's not going to work out. These are really way too tight for this just to slip on here. And so if you run into the situation like this, you can wedge these apart really carefully with this. Oh, I have a cold chisel. You may have something else. But I'm going to do is I'm going to drive this down straight. So instead of modifying this box or anything else, or trying to get this away to get some room, I'm just going to wedge these apart. These are old, and so I'm a little nervous, so I'm going to be really gentle. When you hammer down on this, be really, really careful. And what I'm going to do is drive this down and then rotate it this way and leave this wedge in until I set the outlet box in some glue. Now you'll notice the height here is a little bit different. I just don't want to nick up these wires. It's not that big of a deal to me. I am going to use some glue and it's going to be covered and stuff. I mean, I just don't see rain coming up in here. I probably don't even actually need to use any kind of glue, but I'm gonna. And I will be back in a second here. You will notice that the wedge has got all kinds of room now, but this angle right here in between these is problematic because I don't want them coming up at angles because the holes in this are straight up and down, of course. So that's the idea of rotating it and just getting the bare minimum of clearance. So I have this driven down here and I'm going to rotate it. But watch what happens when I actually take this cold chisel out. I've done this a few times now, and what it does is it kind of loosens that PVC up a little bit. When I take this cold chisel out, look, it kind of wants to go back in, but it's farther apart than it was. This would probably work right now. See? It's getting there. But what happens is they come back together because the elasticity and the memory of this plastic. So what I'm going to do is just keep working it and working it and working it. And it's going to loosen this up a little bit. I am going to leave this wedge in, but you notice it's got this nice long handle. So when I want to pull this out, if you have something smaller like a piece of wood or some kind of other wedge, just to make sure that when you get it in there, there's just a bare minimum of this material in between the pipes so you can pull it out. So this did take a couple of tries, and I just got this plastic kind of limbered up, for lack of a better term, but the wedge is still in there. It's metal, so if you have one of these, it'll slip because it's shiny and slippery and stuff. So, but you can see that these holes are going to line up just fine now. And in this case, because the wires are in here, I'm just going to run a little bit of PVC cement around these, and this is holding just fine. The sun is kind of giving me a headache with the angle here, but you'll notice how these are not straight up and down and the holes in the box are. So to get a little bit of extra pipe into this box, when I got done gluing them, I tapped this edge where these are down here down by putting this piece of 2x6 here, and then just taking a hammer and just kind of gently just tapping it down there, and it got enough pipe in there, and the glue helped. So you can see how it isn't straight up and down, but it sure got enough pipe in there to do the job. And I left a lot of wire here because I'm going to put an outlet inside of this box, and I'm going to use these wires as leads. So I'm going to tie off all the wires, like the commons and the hot wires, whatever you want to call them, and just pigtail out to the outlet that goes in here, and then the other wires that go out to the other box will have enough room in the back here. So this is the Hubble T-Mac expandable cover, and when I put it in here, I noticed this gasket is this kind of gray foam, so I don't think that's gonna stand the test of time, especially here in California. So I'm going to run a sheet of silicone across the top of this, kind of make this a little better. This has got me a little nervous. This is an out of sight, out of mind location, so I kind of added a little bit more just to make sure, and I totally made sure that I got some extra in this little recess area here and on these corners where the gasket was pinched.